Fantastic. Okay, I can see that we are live. Warm welcome to this General Certificate Q&A from the Chartered Institute of Brewing and Distilling. I'm Stuart Howe, the Technical Development Manager here at the CIBD, and I'm here to answer some questions on the General Certificate qualifications. So please ask away. I've got a question already here, and hopefully everyone who should be here is here, and will hear the answer to this one. And it is, how can the GC help me in my career? Well, anyone who is anyone in the industry, be that brewing, distilling, packaging, cider making, malting, hopefully I haven't missed any, will know the CIBD, and they will know the General Certificate qualifications. So having one of these qualifications shows that you have got a recognised industry qualification. It shows that you're committed to continuing professional development, and it also shows you're serious about your career. All these qualifications are very practical qualifications, so they're not literally just looking at academic elements of brewing, distilling, packaging, etc. It's all about how the work is done, so it makes you more effective in your role, and it will enable you to progress in your role because your employer will see that you are more competent than people who haven't got it. It's something that many people in the industry look for people they want to employ. It will definitely give you a substantial advantage over people that haven't got the General Certificate if you're both applying for the same role. Additionally, the General Certificate is a great foundation for going on to do the diploma in brewing, distilling or packaging, which is a great course for anyone who wants to be at the more managerial and technical level. And then ultimately from there, you can go to the master brewer or distiller, where you are a kind of an industry leader. So next question I've got is, do I need a science degree or extensive industry experience to do the General Certificate? To do the General Certificate, you do not need to have a university degree. The General Certificate is around General Certificate level. So it's like the General Certificate of Secondary Education, GCSE, which is a UK exam, but it's basically at the level you'll be at when you leave school at 16 years old. So it's not at the higher or further education level. So you don't need something like a degree to do it. The level of the science, the maths, and the English are all at that school leaving level. So as long as you are proficient in those things and you haven't got a serious weakness, you should have the raw kind of materials to be able to come in and succeed in the qualification. That doesn't mean you don't have to try. Obviously, you will need to apply yourself, and you'll need to use the General Certificate learning material to do that. The General Certificate comes as a package when you purchase the qualification. You get two things. One is you get registered for an exam that comes at the end of the course, and those are throughout the year. There's one in March, there's one in May, and the next one this year is in October. So when you register, you have that time between registering to sit in the exam to use the self-directed learning material. The self-directed learning material is all online. It's based mostly on really engaging text, which is all super accurate, super clear, and in nice plain English. And in addition to that, there are loads of illustrations, lots of videos, and also there are interactive quizzes that enable you to check your understanding of the learning material. So you can see how well you're doing. You can identify gaps in your knowledge at the end of each of the units, and then go back to that unit and then fill in those gaps so that you can be successful in the exam. In addition to the learning material, if you pay £99, we also have Set for Success, which is around 180 multiple choice questions, similar to but not the same as the exam questions that you read, and you are tutored through using industry experts who really know their stuff. They will explain to you what is the correct option out of the multiple choices. They will also explain to you why the incorrect options are actually incorrect, so you'll have a bit more understanding of all the science, technology, etc. around each of the questions. And using Set for Success enables you to then identify gaps in your knowledge that you can then go back to the learning material to then close. So when you go into the exam, you are fully prepared. And also it enables you to navigate your way through multiple choice questions and adopt the correct approach for answering those to be successful in the exam. Next one I've got here is, why should I choose a CIBD qualification ahead of the qualifications offered by other people in the industry? One reason is that the GC qualifications are pretty much unique in terms of level. I'm not familiar with any of the other academic institutions offering something at this kind of foundational level or school leaving level. So it's great for people who want to enter the industry or who want to progress, who are already operating in the industry. Another reason is that it is practically based. It's all based on stuff that you do in the brewery, distillery, the cider making facility, the packaging facility, the maltings. So it provides you with the core skills to do your role. It's not all about the academic end of things. In addition, because it's the general certificate from the Chartered Institute of Brewers and Distillers, you can have faith that it's a robust and a rigorous qualification. You're not just taking a course and getting a certificate at the end to say you've turned up. This is something to say that you have achieved the required level of knowledge and that you have the skills and the capabilities to pass the general certificate. And it is regarded as a tough and rigorous exam. So it definitely adds credentials to your CV. Another great reason for taking the GC rather than someone else's course is that it's entirely in your own time. If you're already in the industry and you haven't got a lot of time, you can do the general certificate in your spare time. If you're yet to enter the industry and you've got a full-time role, again, you can squeeze the general certificate learning into your spare time so that you can do two things at once. You don't have to go to a university or a college. And because it's all online, you don't have to commute to do this. So all the time you're spending on the qualification is time that's invested in you getting better and you acquiring more knowledge. You're not sat in a traffic jam or sat on a train. You're physically learning all the time you're doing the qualification. Next one I've got is, what do I need to do to achieve success in the exam? I mean, that's the $1 million question. The learning material is designed to enable you to pass. So that should be your first port of call. What you should really do is make sure that you are able to spend the time learning. You need to spend as much time as you need, and that varies from individual to individual. It varies dependent on how much background knowledge you've got, how much industry experience you've got, and how quickly you learn as an individual. So you shouldn't just expect to do the minimum amount of time and be successful. You should really plan in as much time as possible to do it, not try and squeeze it all in at the last minute and then just bicep success and assume you're going to pass. You should invest your time in studying the material, and also try and back up what you're doing if you are in a brewery, distillery, packaging facility, etc., by looking at practical examples around those and using those to reinforce your learning. And also use the online learning materials, but also take your own notes and try and boil those down to some really concise and effective revision notes that you take and use in your run up to the exam. Next question I've got is, what is the exam? The exam is a 2-hour online exam. You are remotely invigilated by someone on the other end of your computer, and you do it in the comfort of your own home or in the comfort of your office at work. But it needs to be completely clear of anything that you could use to research the questions as you were being asked them. A 2-hour exam, and you tackle 60 questions over that exam period. And they're all multiple choice questions, and they cover the breadth of the syllabus. So you get the opportunity to check your knowledge all across. They are randomized, but they should represent an even spread of the learning that you've undertaken based on that syllabus. And the results are available around 4 weeks after you have completed the exam. We always aim for 4 weeks, but it could be a little bit longer, maybe a little bit shorter, but around 4 weeks is what is aimed for. So that's pretty much it from the questions that I've got so far. So please type away if you've got any more questions. I should say that the learning material itself is hosted on a learning platform, and in the learning platform you can actually track your own progress, and also your employer, if they're sponsoring you, can track your progress as well. So you can rehearse what you're seeing, rehearse what you're learning, and then track your progress. And you can check whether you've completed a lesson, and you get feedback on the marks of your exam as well. Your not your exam, your quizzes as you go through those. Exams are separate to the learning material. So that's a great feature of the online material. Can the exam taker test out the exam platform? Yes, I believe the exam platform is called TestReach, and before you take the exam itself, TestReach has a kind of a test module that you can go through on TestReach and work out how all the equipment works. Double check that your computer can connect with those and work your way through those questions to make sure that you've got all the right hardware. There are extensive exam FAQs on the CIBD website, and I would definitely recommend that you have a look at those. It's under exam support on the CIBD website, so have a look at those, because that's not based on my remembering the facts and figures, because I don't do the exams. So always check those out if you have got a query on those. Not seeing any new questions coming in currently. We do GCs or general certificates in brewing, distilling, packaging beer, packaging spirits, cider making, and malting. The most popular one is the general certificate in brewing, and then distilling, then the two packaging, and then the malting and cider making coming behind that. We do a Spanish language version of the general certificate in distilling and also in brewing as well, and the exams are in Spanish for both of those. Costs. Set Success is £99, and I might have to ask one of my fantastic assistants if they could type in the cost of the qualification, because I've forgotten. Support courses to help with revision. We do Set for Success, which hopefully you were here when I covered earlier, but that's 3 sessions. I didn't cover that aspect of it, and they are over 3 weeks, and it's every Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday for 3 weeks, depending on which course you're doing. And there's 2 time slots where you join online. And what we do in Set for Success is we use a voting app called Mentimeter, and then we ask you a multiple choice question. You answer that via Mentimeter, not multimeter. That's what we use to test electricity. Yeah, Mentimeter. And then we explain to you why the correct answers are correct and the incorrect answers are incorrect. And you get some slides as a presentation as well to see those. And you can keep a score of how you do on those and then identify any gaps in your knowledge. Yep, just had through on chat here, GCs are £580 for the 2026 exams. That's the cost of those, and £99 for Set for Success. What's the basic number of marks required to get a certificate? The pass mark is above 66%, according to the exam FAQs, but double check with those to make sure that's still current. But that's 66% is the pass mark, and then above that there is a credit and a distinction as well, which are much higher. So hopefully you get those. Oh, 560 I've got. It's changed from 580. Oh no, that's for October 2025 is 560, and that's going up to 580 for next year. So if you get in quick, you'll get it for £20 less. So maybe that's a impetus for some of you. Not seeing any more questions coming in currently. So probably to summarize, general certificate, the really good practical qualification, really good starting point for your career in the industry. It should open doors for you in breweries, distilleries, cideries, packaging facilities and maltings. It should also enable you to develop in your career, to be recognized for investing in your own knowledge and your own level of qualification. And in addition to that, it is a foundational qualification that will take you on to the diploma and ultimately to the master brewer and distiller, which are the very top of technical qualifications for the industry. Got a question here. Do we teach a course on infusion? We've got infusion. If we're talking about mashing, infusion mashing is covered in the general certificate in brewing. and and also with decoction is also covered, and temperature program mashing, but we don't have a specific course on infusion mashing. It is covered also in beer recipe development, a short course. Yeah, it's covered quite extensively in the GC, but if you're really interested in the technical details, the diploma would be a better place to look. But it's a pretty simple process, infusion mashing, compared to the others. So there's not a massive amount to teach there. The whole concept of mashing is covered as well, so you'll get an idea of where infusion mashing fits into the overall process of mashing. Because without understanding the fundamentals of mashing, knowing a bit about infusion won't really help you very much. I've got one here, cash flow, like how cash flow works. Yeah, I'm not sure. We don't cover cash flow in the general certificates currently, because that's more of a kind of a support activity. In addition to the core brewing, distilling, packaging, etc. elements of knowledge, you also get knowledge on health and safety, things like environment, utilities, engineering, co-products, where the good stuff that is produced and the waste comes from. There is a bit on taxation in the general certificate of packaging spirits, because that's very important for packaging spirits. And there is a bit on line efficiency when you get to the packaging qualifications as well. In malting, they've got, there's a little bit more on the kind of health and safety elements that you find in malting compared to the others, and much more on the cereals and barley handling end than on the others. But we don't get, okay, right. Not familiar with, no, I don't think that's something in brewing and distilling, a double vortex infusion tank. It sounds like something from home brewing if it is used. What is temperature mashing? Temperature program mashing is where you mash at different temperatures. So you'll start off at around 45 degrees, and then you'll go up to 50. And then from there, you'll go up to about 62-ish. And then from there, 75. And then you'll mash out at 77. It's a way to deal with poorly modified grain. It enables all the enzymes that break down the starch and the other elements that you want to get rid of during mashing down at different levels. So it's optimal for poorly modified malts. It's used more in continental brewing than in brewing in the UK, where the malt tends to be more modified. Any more questions? Not seeing any more coming in. Still none. I think that's it. I think we should be pretty much there, and it just remains for me to thank you very much indeed for your time today. If you've got any more queries, someone from the CIBD will be monitoring our LinkedIn account continuously. So if there are any questions, please put them in there and I'll get back to you with an answer. Look for me on LinkedIn as well. If you want to approach me, I'm always very pleased to give everyone advice on the best qualification for them. I can even give you sneak preview access to a course, just so you can familiarize yourself with it and see if it's the right level as well. Definitely want to help make sure that you are there. Just one last thing to add: the registration for October 2025 exam is closing on the 13th of August. So you need to purchase that before then if you want to do the October 2025 exam. So that's less than 3 weeks to register. So please get in there and do that. But if you think you need more time, please register for a 2026 exam. We don't want to rush you into taking an exam at the last minute. But if you're ready, think you're ready to do the October one, then please do register in the next 3 weeks. Otherwise, you'll miss the opportunity. And that's it. Thank you very much indeed. It has been wonderful to spend this time with you. And as I said, if you've got any queries, we would be delighted to assist.